Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Athens City Council. This is a regular session. Tonight is October 5th, 2015. I will be acting as President Pro Tem. Our normal president is our acting mayor this evening. We will begin by establishing a quorum. It looks like we have all members of council present. I will be also voting this evening. Moving on to disposition of minutes. Is there a motion to adopt the regular session of City Council minutes from September 8th, 2015? Thank you. Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The minutes have been adopted. We are now at the communications part of our agenda. Are there communications from council members?
I do.
Councilmember Paul.
I would like to congratulate Paul Logue and the city administration for the award that they got from the American Planning Association Ohio Planning Award recipient that they received earlier, late in September. And this is for the focused planning project, and it's for the Athens of Athens. So once again, Athens of Athens has been identified as a outstanding planning process. Thank you. Yay for Paul and everybody else.
This is a big award.
It's a big award.
It's a biggie, so well deserved.
Yep. And so.
Thank you, Councilmember Paul. Councilmember Patterson.
I do have one. Thank you, President Pro Tem. A couple things. Well, actually, just one. I received a number of correspondence, one letter and 2 emails recently from concerned citizens about our roundabout, and in particular the crosswalk at our roundabout, the surface crosswalk, as opposed to the under Richland Avenue tunnel that also exists. Without getting into great detail about it, but the concerns were one of entering onto the roundabout and having to watch for traffic over your left shoulder and then making a turn onto 682 and right onto a crosswalk, and apparently a couple near misses there, as well as a couple close calls with being rear-ended to stop quickly for someone in the crosswalk. So I just wanted to raise that to the attention of city administration as well as us, because there is an alternate route across that particular intersection, which is down through the tunnel and back up. It might be a little longer, but longer is healthier in the long run. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see if we can talk to the city engineer about exploring some potential options. Acting Mayor.
We might also want to coordinate with Ohio University. A lot of guests from the university or, conferences are sometimes walking across there. So just educational efforts for all persons. The other thing is educational efforts for bicyclists who are crossing at the Schaefer and Richland Avenue intersection. There's an easy way to get under it by going off the parking lot at Peden, under the bike path, and then circling back up so that you never encounter traffic, and then back down through the other tunnel underneath. And I've noticed people kind of darting out on bicycles at that Richland intersection. So the whole concept of safety, I think, and promotion, probably.
Can I suggest that maybe the administration could have put on the street itself, look left, as opposed. They do that like in Britain, in London, all the places where most people are looking the wrong way because, the traffic's coming from a different way. And they have it down on every single cross so they can put it, look left for. So, and maybe something on the bike path that says through traffic under the bridge. Something that would, because there are going to be people who are not going to get the educational flyers or something. So I think something sign-wise would be.
One other, could I add to that as well?
Sure.
I've had several comments, and I've forwarded it on to administration the last couple years regarding drivers who are regular people who go through the roundabout, and it's it's exactly what you said, Member Patterson, with the concerns and the looking and the paying attention and that kind of thing. And we've even, I know I've discussed, being on the Transportation Committee, we've actually discussed some way of even closing off the crosswalk there. But I'm not sure what the concerns were with that. But the bottom line is, I think that really is a serious safety concern. And you will find that at major roundabouts in Europe, in England especially, where I've lived, they just block them off. And you have to go down under the tunnel or wherever they direct you. They don't allow you even to make that choice.
Well, if it's an issue with the Ohio Department of Transportation that there's requirements that call for a crosswalk, two of the citizens who reached out to me threw out the possibility of, would it be possible to move a crosswalk 50 yards up 682 closer to the Ridges exit to get up to the Ridges area or something. But anyway, it's just so it's noted and out there. Citizens are concerned.
And I would add as well that I too have received feedback. People love the roundabout. Some initially were nervous or worried about it and are now in favor and have fell in love with the roundabout, but have expressed a similar safety concern that they just don't see the pedestrians in the crosswalk, interestingly enough, because they're looking for cars, and especially coming from 682 or the plains, that coming that way into town. So you're not in a vacuum, or these other concerns have been expressed to many of us. It's challenging. Thank you. I'm sure you have more comments.
I have one more comment, and again, this is a council member comment, and reaching out to the citizens in the city. We do have these cigarette butt bins that are for recycling cigarette butts. Please use them. Encourage others that you may see to use them as well. I keep noticing still cigarette butt litter in the most common spots, which are transition points. But again, if you see someone, friendly reminder. Sometimes all it takes, and say, you know what, you have these really cool bins over here. Please use them because we can recycle those cigarette butts.
And
Remember
just,
Canterbury.
Add one more thing to that is encourage them to stop smoking too.
Very good. That's all I have, Mr. President.
How about maybe you could kindly remind us about tomorrow's disability? Is that at
I was going to
noon?
bring that up under
okay.
other announcements.
Sure, sounds good. We'll do that. We'll wait then. Any other communications from council members?
I have one.
Thank you.
I just wanted to remind folks out there about an upcoming deadline for the Athens Poet Laureate Award, and that is an ongoing selection process through the AMAC group, the Athens Commission on the Arts. I know I'm butchering Municipal Arts Commission. Thank you. And so this is the first ever time that Athens will be selecting a poet laureate, so it's a historic moment for us and something that we believe is going to elevate Athens' appreciation for the arts even further. And the deadline for that is November 9th. I was asked about that by a citizen today, so I just want to put that out there. Applications are available. The nomination packet, is available on the city's website at ci.athens.oh.us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other communications from council members? Moving on to reports and communications from other elected officials, beginning with our Law Director, Lisa Eliason.
No, nothing to report.
Thank you. Acting Mayor Nisley.
Thank you. Just a note that the city administration and staff have completed a number of projects. We've heard about all of them as they've come through council and needed ordinances for design or construction or appropriations of money. But I just wanted to I think, thank the city staff for all of the efforts. We have the Richland Avenue project, where they're doing some of the final walkthroughs right now to make sure things are in place, storm sewers are cleared out, bike paths are in good shape, markings are there. The wastewater treatment plant is now to the point where we'll hopefully see it towards completion towards the end of the year, but right now they're doing tree planting there. So you'll notice some changes if you're along that. plans taking place and work beginning for the Northwest Bike Spur, and then also our pumper truck that has arrived, and they're doing the final equipping with hoses on that right now. So thanks to everyone who's helped make it happen.
Thank you.
That's
Speaking of the pumper truck, did we get our hoses for the pumper truck?
Old.
But it will be functional. While we await them, they said probably in December, the new hoses will arrive. We check hoses on a regular basis. They'll be in good shape.
Thank you. Any other communications from the executive branch? Okay. Moving on to ordinances for second reading, beginning with Ordinance 8715, an ordinance providing for the issuance of $523,411,000 of notes by the City of Athens, Ohio, in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of renewing notes previously issued for the purpose of paying part of the costs of acquiring a new pumper truck and related equipment and declaring an emergency. And this is introduced by Councilmember Reisner. Any comments? No. Ordinance 9015, an ordinance granting the renewal of a revocable license to Wilson Deaton, owner 108 Sunnyside Drive, to allow a fence on the city right-of-way, introduced by Councilmember Fall. Ordinance 9115, an ordinance granting a revocable license to Christine Hughes, owner 270 East State Street, to allow a deck that encroaches on the city right-of-way, again introduced by Councilmember Fall. Any comments? Ordinance 9215, an ordinance granting a revocable license to Aaron Bickle, owner 91 and 91 and a half Columbus Road, to allow a sign that encroaches on the city right-of-way, introduced by Councilmember Fall.
I'd like to amend, please. I move that we amend to read, I need a second.
Oh, second.
Thank you. To read in section 1, for it to read, amend the revocable license request for 91 and a half Columbus Road to allow a revocable license to 91 and a half Columbus Road, nationwide insurance to the existing sign location at the southwest corner of tax parcel, blah, 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 which is approximately 6 feet into the right-of-way. And this basically amends the ordinance to read where the existing sign is now.
Thank you, Councilmember. So we have a motion to amend, and did we hear a second? Is that correct? Okay. So voting on just amending the ordinance, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the ordinance has been amended and read for the first time. Any other actions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to ordinances for first reading. Ordinance 9315, an ordinance closing a portion of Court Street on Monday, October 26, 2015, from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. for trick-or-treat hosted by the Athens Uptown Business Association and declaring an emergency. This is introduced by Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you. Mr. President, I move to suspend due to the health and safety reasons so that everyone has a clear understanding for planning purposes what we're doing.
Second.
So we have a motion to suspend and a second. Again, voting on just suspending. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, the ordinance has been suspended. Rules.
Thank you. I move to adopt 9315.
Second.
And we discussed this at length last week. There has been a compromise in terms of the bagging of the meters, and that's been moved to 2 o'clock. We did discuss it at 3 o'clock, but apparently this city needs the leeway there to make sure the street is clear. So we'll bag at 2 o'clock. And I assume that's going to be clearly marked on the bags so everyone knows.
We're actually going to institute the parking enforcement came to see me today, and as opposed to bagging the meters along the homecoming parade route, they're going to have their signs made that say Halloween parade route, no parking after 8 a.m. on that date. If that's success, that's how we'll go forward. So the signs will clearly state, as with this confusion, because yes, we bag it too, because we need the allowed time to have the final hour if there has to be someone towed. So it may be more clear to the citizens that yes, you can park here up until that time that's indicated. So
you're going to try that out this coming weekend,
yes,
and then utilize it going forward if it works well. Okay. And so that is what we're voting on tonight, is to close the street for the Athens Uptown Business Association's Trick or Treat on Monday, the 26th. And the trick or treat, just to be clear, does not begin at 5. It begins at 5:30. It is 5:30 to 7. Just want to make that clear. And the half-hour leeway is for the city to get the street in order before and after. So the actual trick or treat is 5:30 to 7. Okay, I move to adopt.
Second.
Any questions or comments? I know I wanted to check in with the administration about one issue, which is the parking garage. I know that we are working on the parking garage, and there's been a couple floors closed here and there as they're working and progressing. Do we know where the status of that might be at that time? How accessible will the garage be?
It'll be mostly accessible. Now, here comes the bomb. Because either next week or the following week, the parking garage will be closed in order to be able to put the coating down and have it cure. So that will be a significant outreach.
And that will be for how long?
It could be up to the full week, Monday to Friday. So we're staying outside of our high event weekends. We need to stay outside of this weeks, and get it accomplished by the Halloween and with the weather. So I expect it to be mostly accessible, but they're continuing to work. There could very well be a floor closure, and the parking garage is not, or the fees are not being abated by this ordinance anymore.
Interestingly enough, having come to rely on the garage a lot more now, and it does get used very frequently, I think we're going to have to do our best to communicate with the press and the public about that, because it is something that's used daily.
They're coating the first floor and doing that, and so in order to allow, no one can get in once you access that. So we've got, it's going to be painful, and projects always are, just like we lived through Richland Avenue and previously, all the other roads and everything else that we've done in the future East State Street. But
Is there some way to put something out front that can warn people a day ahead of time?
Oh, we will. We've asked. I
I
asked for a week's notice, and I don't have it. So if it's next Monday, I have a little less than a week.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding voting on ordinance 9315 before we vote? Is there any other comments or support? Member Cochran.
Thank you. My only comment is that I would like to urge AUBA and the Chamber to continue to have an open dialogue with all of the uptown merchants, not just those who are members, but all those who are affected by the street closures. We know that these events are good for community relations and good PR and marketing for our uptown businesses, but they also sometimes have adverse effects, as we have heard. And so, I'm glad that we were able to sort of mitigate the effects a little bit by shortening the length of time that the meters will be bagged, or that the parking will be inaccessible. But I think we need to continue to look into this issue.
Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting ordinance 9315, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The ordinance has been adopted. Moving on to ordinance 9415. Again, we're still in first reading. An ordinance authorizing an increased expenditure for construction of the Northwest Athens Bikeway Spur Phase 2 project number 271, introduced by Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you. I don't believe there's a reason for suspension, but I will just mention a few details. So this is a project where we received a grant from the state to complete this northwest bike spur, which is on the other side of the river from the West State Street ball fields. And this is, we're completing, in the process of completing, I was walking there this morning, this bike spur, and then it will connect across Armitage Road up to University Estates eventually. But we wanted to get this first part of it done, completed. The grant that was awarded was, is it $244,000? Anyways, we've already spent some of that and we've been reimbursed at $106,000. So we are slightly over what was initially budgeted, and so this authorization is to amend. We are amending it. Well, it's already been amended, but we are asking for $17,000 extra dollars to complete this phase of the project. I think we discussed it last week, but I just wanted to make clear to everybody for accounting purposes.
Thank you, Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Ordinance 9515, an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to advertise and accept bids where necessary and enter into contracts for construction of the Southside Bridges Project number 290, introduced by Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you. And is this a suspension?
No.
Andy's not
Design's
requesting.
not done yet.
Yeah, the design's not. So we discussed this last week. We'll just move on, I think, unless anyone has any questions tonight.
Maybe just a reminder of the bridges.
So the two bridges, this initially was going to be a three-bridge project, the South Side Bridges, but now it is the Dairy Lane Bridge and the Hooper Street Bridge on Richland Avenue. And since the design is already pretty much completed, just needs to be finalized, we're going to ask to move forward with that and then come back for the third bridge, which is in front of the Stop and Copper underneath, later, and ask for the money on that. It has a nice new surface on top, so we're going to stay away from that at this point, and seek those funds at a later date. So that's what the project is.
Thank you, Councilmember. Ordinance 9615, an ordinance amending the 2015 appropriation ordinance, and this is introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem. I move to suspend the rules for ordinance 9615.
Second.
The reason for the suspension is part of the monies that are being appropriated here as part of a payment that has to be made to the state of Ohio, and they want their money immediately. So for the public safety and welfare of the city, the rules, we need to pass it tonight. So that's why I'm asking for suspension.
Thank you, Councilmember. Again, we're voting on suspension of the rules only here. We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor of suspension only, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, the ordinance has been suspended.
I move to adopt ordinance 9615.
Second.
Allow me to read this.
Thank you.
Section 1, the 2015 appropriation ordinance 01/2014 is hereby amended by appropriating from the unappropriated balance the following sums: $4,000 to Capital Improvement Fund, $580 Police TC 500 for cruiser accoutrements. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that word. Okay. $6,042 to Community Corrections Grant Fund, Fund 235 TC 600, refund to the state. That's their, why we're suspended. $74,350 to Community Center Debt 740 TC 600 for transfer, and $75,000 to Basic Internal Service Funds 865 TC 500 for city server, computer servers, infrastructure upgrade, and increasing the total appropriations by said amounts. And Section 2, the auditor is hereby authorized to make the following inter-fund transfer from Community Center Debt 470 to Community Center 271, amount $74,350. So.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any questions or comments before voting? None? Okay, we do have a motion and a second for Ordinance 9615. All those in favor of adopting the ordinance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The ordinance has been adopted. So that is the conclusion of our ordinances. So now we move on to announcements and other business.
I have one.
Yes, Councilmember.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. I would just like to share the announcement from our Athens Public Transit Manager, Michael Lockman, about an exciting project being unveiled this Thursday in front of Baker Center at the Mulberry Street bus stop, which will be the Poetry in Motion project. So we now have a Athens City bus, which has been wrapped with a poem by local poet Wendy McVicker, and there we have a wonderful image. So this is a poem called In Summer by Wendy McVicker, and she will be doing a short reading at 12:15, followed by Ride on the Bus and another short reading. And this project was led by local designer Molly Shanehoff, and we're excited to have more arts and poetry on our public transit vehicles. More to come, so please join us.
Thank you, Councilmember.
I'm glad you brought that up. I took that photo earlier today because I was in awe over seeing that wrap. So, yay.
Any other announcements and other business, Councilmember?
I have several, President Pro Tem. I had mentioned last week that this week is the beginning of the ADA 25, which is the 25-year anniversary, as being celebrated here in Athens for the Americans with Disabilities Act. There's a couple of events that I want to highlight. There's many events, and I believe that it's probably on Compass at Ohio University, as well as I believe it might be on the city's website. But a couple starting tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon at lunch from 12 to 1 p.m. in Howard Park, which is right next to the Schoonover College of Communications, which is the ADA 25 Celebration Series kickoff event, to where President McDavis and Mayor Paul Weil will be essentially reading a proclamation and making remarks about the kickoff of this event. October 8th from 3 to 5 p.m. is something that is well worth everyone attending, which is the Music Within and Discussion, which is at the Athena Cinema. The following week, a couple things that are notables: Dancing Wheels, the Lasting Legacy Concert and Tour, which is taking place in the Baker Center. This is on October 13th at 7 p.m. And another event worth bringing up tonight is what's called, it's the Screening Social Justice video, which is Lives Worth Living, which is October 16th from 4 to 6 p.m., also in the Baker Center, room 231. So please come out and attend and learn more about where ADA has come from, where it is at the present, and what needs to be done in the future, which is a lot. The other thing I want to announce real quick is the 2015 LEAF pickup schedule has come out. Area 1, which takes up a large portion of the 3rd and 4th wards, pickup will begin October 19th through the 23rd, November 9th through November 13th, and then November 30th through December 4th. Area 2, which is pretty much portions of all the wards, is October 26th through October 26th, October 30th, November 16th, November 20th, December 7th, and December 11th. And then Area 3, which is parts of the 1st and the 2nd ward, is November 2nd, November 6th, November 23rd, November 25th, December 14th, and December 18th. And then the final suite will be December 21st, is it through the 24th?
As we can get to it. When I'm smiling because then we're going to turn around and start picking up Christmas trees.
Any
After we get done
guidelines
with the
we should
leaves.
acknowledge? Thank you.
Guidelines.
Or what?
Loose leaf pickup begins October 19th. Bagged leaf will continue through yard waste program.
Thank you.
$1.50 charge per bag.
And one thing we're trying to get the message out is to, and it's difficult to do, but attempt to rake when it's your week as opposed to leaving things that get into our storm sewer.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Should be on the website soon if it's not already. Just produced today.
Thank you, Safety Director. Any other announcements and other business? Mayor.
3 upcoming announcements, things that happen in the next few weeks. This coming weekend, we have the homecoming parade, so we'll have the road closures for Union and towards the uptown over to Mulberry and then over, and that will be, marked off. The next is what we'd mentioned and we'll continue to mention and put out in press releases and PSAs, the parking garage, that might be closing, so people stay tuned for that. Lastly is October 14th, the Athens Municipal Arts Commission is having an open house at 6 p.m. and they're looking to share ideas with the public on what they've done so far in terms of arts in the community, but also to solicit input from citizens on how the arts, ideas that they might have for the arts enlivening our lives, enriching our lives in Athens. That's it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Could you announce what the League of Women's Voter Forum? That's this Wednesday?
There is tomorrow night, a League of Women Voters Issues Forum, and it's at 6:30 p.m. at the library. And these are regarding state ballot issues that will be on the ballot next month.
Thank you. I'm guessing we may also need to acknowledge whether or not there's any committee meetings for the next week's agenda.
Me. Planning and Development.
Planning and Development.
Finance and Personnel's got to meet. We have a couple of major things to talk about. One is the non-union benefits review. We have to start that. Be on the 12th and probably continue on to the 26th. And the budget, we have to be reviewing that. And also our financial uniformity codes are supposed to be coming from the state of Ohio to direct the city on how it's supposed to collect its income taxes. Something has to be presented to us so we can in turn pass an ordinance to accept it, because we'll have to change our tax codes to conform with the state. And I'm hoping the auditor or one of the assistant auditors can come and brief us on that.
And I think that the auditor has shared some preliminary documents,
Yes.
which Clerk of Council has shared with us on the standard, the sample uniformity information. But I do think I remember hearing that Tina Timberman, our income tax person, who's very up to date on this, might be able to come and make a presentation. So I think that would be great if that could happen.
I just want to remind the council members I have sent some information to all members concerning the timelines scheduled for the budget hearings, what we need to cover. So
Thank you.
please read your email.
Thank you. Any other announcements on our business or committee meetings? We're now at the part of our agenda that offers an opportunity for citizens to speak on legislative items and city services that were not covered on our agenda this evening. So is anyone in the audience wishing to speak this evening? We have a large audience this evening, and we're all content. All right, thank you. Before we move into executive session, I do want to, because we do have a number of citizens here this evening, I'd like to make sure that we offer time for adequate questions for them and the press. So why don't we look at 10 or 15 minutes of time for those questions and comments that take place here, and then we will have to move into our executive session, followed by a formal adjournment.
Oh, you need to wait.
Sorry.
We're not done.
Sorry.
We need to do the executive session.
So prior to our little break here, we'll acknowledge that we will be going into executive session, and we need a consensus on that.
I move that we go into executive session for collective bargaining. Is that what it is? With all members of council, law director, acting mayor, and service safety director.
Second.
Thank you. So let's go ahead and have a roll call.
I vote aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So we will begin that around 7:50, 7:55-ish. See how much time we need for questions from students. Thank you.